One moment, superstar Chloe Jean was dying in a fiery inferno after a stage accident. The next, she woke up inside a novel, reborn as the vicious, universally hated character who shares her name, a character destined to be dismembered. On her wedding night, she was alone in the lavish bedroom, listening to the servants gossip outside. Separate rooms on the first night? The young master must really despise Miss Jean. Keep your voice down. You'll lose your head if anyone hears you. In the novel, the original Chloe was nearly strangled to death by the arrogant male lead on their wedding night. Having been given a second chance at life, there was no way she was letting that happen again. Chloe grabbed her phone and fired off a message to the tsundere himself. I never should have let my uncle force you into this marriage. I'm sorry, Kaylin Thorne. I finally get it now. You can't force love. Let's get a divorce. I don't deserve you. I hope you and your true love live happily ever after. I'll have the divorce papers sent over as soon as possible. Sure, the sickly pretty boy from the novel was devastatingly handsome, but he wasn't her type. And after being lucky enough to be reborn, she wasn't about to lose her life over a pretty face. She bolted out of the villa. A cheap-looking car was parked by the road, probably a rideshare. The tycoons in this neighborhood would never drive something like that. Chloe yanked the door open and jumped in. Take me to the Jean family's Rosewood Manor. I'll pay you anything. Ignoring the weird look from the other passenger already in the car, Chloe slammed the door and immediately called her new body's father. The novel said her dad doted on her, treating her like a precious treasure. To get a smooth divorce, she needed his support first. Time to put her acting skills to use. It took Chloe 3 seconds to get into character, her voice cracking with emotion. Dad, I don't want to live anymore. On the other end, Mr. Jean was instantly frantic. Who hurt my precious Chloe? Tell me who it is and I'll beat them to a pulp. Chloe sniffled. I want to divorce Kaylin Thorne, but you were the one who cried and begged to marry him. What happened? You've only been married a day and you already regret it? He seduced me with his looks and I lost my mind. I could overlook the fact that he's disabled and has a face like a block of ice, but I never imagined that his, equipment isn't working. He even got angry and took it out on me, saying it was my fault he couldn't perform because I wasn't attractive enough. Mr. Jean exploded with rage. Kaylin Thorne has gone too far. I'm going to his house to settle this right now. Chloe continued to sob. The Jean and Thorne families have known each other for ages. Let's not make it too ugly. A simple divorce is all I want. I'm already on my way home. We can talk more then. Mission accomplished. Chloe was so pleased with herself that she didn't notice the car hadn't moved an inch. Before she could ask the driver what was going on, a familiar voice echoed from beside her, playing a recording of the very message she'd just sent. I never should have let my uncle force you into this marriage. I'm sorry, Kaylin Thorne. I hope you and your true love live happily ever after. I'll have the divorce papers sent over as soon as possible. Chloe's head felt like it was going to explode. Her eyes shot wide as she stared at the impossibly handsome man sitting next to her. He looked exactly like the male lead from the novel. Kaylin Thorne held his phone, his icy gaze fixed on her face. Had a good look? Chloe fumbled with the door handle. It was just a joke, she shrieked before bolting from the car. Kaylin watched her sprint for her life, a cold expression on his face. He turned to the driver. Get her. An hour later, Chloe was dragged back in front of Kaylin by 2 hulking men. The handsome man narrowed his stunning eyes. Chloe Jean? Who told you my equipment isn't working? Chloe trembled, wondering if she was going to die right here, long before the novel's dismemberment scene. And I'd like to know, Kaylin continued, why you would say such a thing. She instinctively clutched her messy coat. I was just trying to convince my dad to let us get a divorce. You're handsome and talented, Mr. Thorne. Countless women would kill to be with you. And everyone knows I was madly in love with you before, so no other excuse would have convinced him. Kaylin let out a derisive snort. When did Miss Jean become so silver-tongued? A cold sweat broke out on Chloe's back. In the novel, Kaylin Thorne had the original Chloe cut into pieces and dumped in the sea. Who knew what he'd do to her now that he was furious? I swear on my life, everything I said was from the heart. Kaylin's smile was chilling. Do I have a face like a block of ice? Did I seduce you with my looks? And if you minded my disability, why did you cry and beg to marry me? Chloe shook her head so fast it was a blur. That was just a figure of speech. The Thorne family is rich and powerful. Curing you is just a matter of time. In the novel, the male lead became disabled after a car accident that also killed his parents. He had never given up on treatment. A murderous glint flashed in Kaylin's eyes. Who told you I was receiving treatment? In her panic, Chloe had forgotten a crucial plot point. To make his corporate rivals let their guard down, Kalen kept his treatment a secret from the public. She couldn't take the words back, so she had to bullshit her way out. I guessed. You shouldn't give up on getting better, and even if you wanted to, I'd find a way to get you cured. After all, I love you so much. Kalen felt the smile on her face was completely fake. I suppose you must love me. I'm just curious why you'd suddenly go to such lengths to divorce me. Chloe immediately switched to a pitiful expression. Your attitude made me realize you don't like me. You can't force love. I'm not poor, ugly, or stupid. It's not like I can't find anyone else. Maybe I won't find someone as perfect as you, Mr. Thorne, but I can at least find someone who won't leave me all alone on my wedding night. Kalen raised an eyebrow. His long, elegant fingers reached out and tugged open her thin coat, revealing the scandalously sexy lingerie she had on underneath. I never planned on leaving you alone on our wedding night. I was just running a little late. And right now, he said, his voice dropping, I'm very curious to test whether my equipment is working or not. Chloe flinched away. You're kidding, Mr. Thorne. I know you're just testing me, trying to see if I have ulterior motives. I swear I don't want any of your money, and I'll never show my face in front of you again. Once we're divorced, you can go find your true love. What's not to like? Kalen's hand shot out, grabbing her chin. If you love me so much, then there's no need for a divorce. Besides, keeping you by my side might be useful for now. And unless I decide to let you go, you're not leaving. Not even in death. Chloe was completely bewildered. What the hell was this psycho playing at? Is that really necessary? You're a busy man, Mr. Thorne. You shouldn't waste your time on me. His gaze was intense. Do you really think your father was so eager for you to marry me just to make you happy? Chloe's heart skipped a beat. On the surface, the Jian family was thriving, but they were actually on the verge of bankruptcy. Mr. Jian's main goal was to latch onto the powerful Thorne family. But the love-obsessed original Chloe had messed everything up, not only getting herself killed, but also causing her family's downfall. Fine, we won't get a divorce, Chloe conceded. I'll go explain to my father. I'll just say I was drunk and talking nonsense. Kalen seemed pleased. Smart girl. But let me make one thing clear. You'd better behave yourself. Otherwise, I might just decide to crush the Jean family immediately. Chloe cursed him internally for being so ruthless, but she had no choice but to play along. In the novel, the original Chloe didn't die until much later, after the female lead appeared. She had time. Don't worry, I'm a very well-behaved person. Kalen activated his wheelchair, tossing a final comment over his shoulder as he left. And that makeup is hideous. Chloe breathed a sigh of relief. The monster was finally leaving. Have a good night, Mr. Thorne. Don't you worry, I'll never wear this makeup again. After Kalen left, he ordered his men to investigate everything Chloe had done that day. It was like she had become a different person overnight. Meanwhile, Chloe was just glad he was gone. The psycho responded better to a soft touch than a hard one. To save her own skin, she couldn't provoke him. As for her makeup, even she thought it was disgusting. Of course she was going to change it. The next morning, the Thorne family servants were already gossiping. The madam tried to run away last night, but the bodyguards carried her back. I heard they still slept in separate rooms. Just then, Chloe descended the stairs. Arrange a car and a bodyguard for me. I'm going out. Wearing light, tasteful makeup, Chloe looked like a completely different person from the garishly made-up girl from before. The servants stared, dumbfounded. The madam is so beautiful. Is that really our madam? Oh my God. Under everyone's gaze, Chloe slipped into the luxury car the butler had prepared. First, she went on a multi-million-dollar shopping spree. Then, dressed in a new priceless gown, she arrived at the Sovereign, a hotel owned by the Thorne Corporation. The hotel was packed. Kalen was using their wedding as an excuse to host a banquet for every influential figure in the city. But in the novel, he never intended for the original Chloe to show up. A waiter stopped her respectfully. Ma'am, you can't enter without an invitation. Chloe brushed past him. Why would I need an invitation to my own hotel? Everyone stared in disbelief. Oh my God, is that really the boss's wife? It looks like her, but did Chloe Jean always have such good taste? Good taste? She's stunning. I heard she used some shady methods to marry into the Thorne family. Once the Jean family goes bankrupt, her time as Mrs. Thorne will be over. Chloe was well aware that the original was the laughingstock of high society, so she paid the chatter no mind. She walked straight towards the underground casino. Two men were in the middle of a high-stakes game. One of them was Spike, a subordinate of Damon Liu, the heir to the Liu conglomerate. Kalen had invited Damon with a hidden agenda. He wanted Damon's support to solidify his position as the heir to the Thorne family. Chloe strode up to the table and placed a bet 100 times the current one, forcing Kaylin's man to back down. After winning one round, Chloe's eyes sparkled, showing none of the calm of a seasoned gambler. 2 dice is a little boring. I want to play something more exciting. How about we add 5 more? Spike chuckled. The ladies got guts. Fine by me. Red has 22, blue has 17. Red wins! After several rounds, Chloe had won 6 out of 7 games, easily pocketing tens of millions. Spike's face had turned grim, but he had to force a smile. As long as the lady is happy. Finally, Damon Liu himself made an appearance. Looks like everyone's having a great time. You're making me want to play. The crowd parted. Chloe smiled sweetly at the fish who had taken the bait. I just won a little bit of money, but my heart is pounding out of my chest. I think I'll quit while I'm ahead. Damon crossed his legs. Come on, beautiful. Play 1 round for me. You name the stakes. Chloe pushed all her winnings forward. You said it. Then let's make this last one a big one. I bet 100 chips. Damon looked thoughtful. In that case, I'll bet 400. Is the lady satisfied? A wave of whispers went through the room. That's gotta be about 5 billion, right? Who is this woman? How dare she bet like that against the gambling king? She's either loaded or insane. The insane Chloe was waiting for just that. Now this is what I call exciting. The result was announced quickly. Red has 29, blue has 26. Chloe was ecstatic. 50 billion. This should be enough to solve the Jian family's financial crisis. Up on the second floor balcony, Kaylin's face went dark. That woman is asking for a death wish. Behind him, his cousin Leo was confused. Our sister-in-law just won billions off the gambling king. Shouldn't you be proud, big bro? Kaylin practically gritted his teeth. The Liu conglomerate is a potential ally we need to win over. I was planning to discuss a partnership with them. I set this whole thing up for him to win, and Chloe Jian just went and did the exact opposite. Leo froze. His brother might seem calm on the surface, but he was ruthless. His beautiful new sister-in-law was probably doomed. She didn't know any better. It was an honest mistake. Kaylin's eyes were cold as ice. She ruined my plans. She deserves to die. Down below, Damon Liu, who had just lost 4 billion, was surprisingly calm. May I have the honor of knowing the lady's name? Chloe had someone cash in her chips, then beamed. My apologies. I was having so much fun I forgot to introduce myself. I'm the Lady of the Sovereign, Chloe Jian. Damon's jaw dropped and stayed that way for a while. You're really Kaylin Thorne's wife? Chloe nodded. Is there any doubt? Just then, Kaylin came down from the second floor. Chloe turned and rushed towards him. Honey, I'm over here! Damon looked incredulous. Was this really the rumored brainless bimbo, Chloe Jian? Weren't the rumors that Kaylin was forced to marry her? Why would he come down to get her personally? It seemed the rumors couldn't be trusted. Chloe turned to Damon. I hope you enjoyed the game. Kaylin's face darkened even more. She was deliberately rubbing salt in the wound. Damon had lost both face and money today. The partnership was probably dead in the water. Mr. Liu, it was just one game. How could you call that enjoying yourself? Leo cleverly jumped in. How about I play a few rounds with you, Mr. Liu? But Damon waved him off. I've never had so much fun. Kaylin was baffled. Could losing so badly really be that enjoyable? Damon's gaze returned to Chloe. Mrs. Thorne, you truly are the #1 beauty. Even more stunning than I imagined. Chloe immediately returned the compliment with a smile. And you're even more handsome in person than in your photos, Mr. Liu? Leo muttered under his breath. The world is full of weirdos. Who gets happy after losing a fortune? Kaylin's expression soured further as Damon took Chloe's hand and performed a Western-style hand kiss. The day you divorce Mr. Thorne, be sure to look me up. I'll be your backup plan. Kaylin forcefully yanked Chloe's other hand, pulling her back to his side. He cleared his throat. The banquet upstairs has already started. Why don't we head up for a drink? Damon shook Kaylin's hand. I envy you getting to marry such a beautiful and capable wife. I'm very much looking forward to our partnership. I'll head up first. Kaylin had assumed Chloe's recklessness would infuriate Damon and ruin any chance of a deal between their companies. He never expected Damon to have such a strange reaction. Kaylin gave a slight nod. Of course, Mr. Liu. Damon turned to head upstairs. I am very much looking forward to seeing Mr. Thorne take over as head of the Thorne family. I imagine it will make things much more interesting for me. Watching him walk away, Leo was completely bewildered. It seems Mr. Liu really likes losing money. Before he lost, he didn't seem very keen on our partnership or supporting you as the family head. But after losing, his attitude did a complete 180. So weird. Kaylin found it weird too. With a cold expression, he called Chloe into his private room to interrogate her. Do you have any idea how important today's game was to me? Slam! A loud noise cut him off as Chloe slapped her hand on the table. She was going on the offensive. You didn't tell me about the wedding banquet, so I was planning to come here and lose all your money. The severity in Kaylin's eyes softened slightly. You were targeting Damon Liu? But from where I was standing, it didn't look like you were trying to lose. Chloe hopped onto the table and sat down. That's because I decided to take a gamble. No one has ever dared to go all in against Damon Liu. I figured for a man who's never lost a day in his life, getting knocked down a peg for once might be an unprecedented thrill. The anger that had been simmering in Kaylin's eyes had now completely vanished. But he's the gambling king. What made you so sure you could beat him? Chloe giggled. Well, it wasn't my money on the line. If I won, I'd pocket the cash. Either way, I couldn't lose. Of course, Chloe was lying. Before her debut, she had worked in a casino and learned how to judge the outcome by the quality of the dice and the sound they made rattling in the cup. She had been completely confident she could take Damon Liu down. Kaylin just grunted. Chloe continued, and if I had lost and Damon wasn't happy, you could have stepped in and let him win it back, right? All's well that ends well. Kaylin's tone was still flat. You just got lucky this time. Chloe cut him off. It wasn't all luck, it was mostly my brilliant intellect. I think you should be praising me. Honey. Kaylin's face remained impassive. It's too early to tell if the partnership with Damon will go smoothly. Isn't it a bit premature to be asking for credit? I think we should split the winnings first, 50-50. Chloe's eyes widened. Why? I earned this with my own hard work. You did nothing, why should you get half? Her frustrated expression seemed to delight Kaylin. Don't forget, you used my money to gamble. Damon Liu was my guest, and this casino is my territory. Chloe blurted out, why don't you just say I belong to you too? Small smile played on Kaylin's lips. I almost forgot about that. In that case, half seems a bit generous. Let's say $2 billion for you. Chloe was on the verge of tears. You're so heartless. You'll never have any friends. Although you and that madman Damon Liu will probably get along just fine. The name Damon Liu was a sore spot for Kaylin, especially after the man had offered to be Chloe's backup right in front of him. He frowned. It seems you like Damon Liu. Chloe didn't deny it. I wouldn't say like, but I definitely don't dislike a man who loses a fortune to me and still smiles. Before she could finish, a sharp pain shot through her arm, as Kaylin gripped it tightly, feeling like he was about to crush the bone. Are you crazy? But Chloe quickly threw herself onto him, cooing, Honey, I'm hungry, I want some cake. After that heart-pounding moment, Kaylin was in a surprisingly good mood and didn't put on his usual cold front. The crowd was stunned. The notoriously icy Mr. Thorne was publicly attending a banquet with Chloe Jian, and even being pleasant to her. Had the sun risen in the west? Seeing that her act had served its purpose, Chloe gave Kaylin a bright smile and a wave, then sashayed away, completely satisfied. Her goal for the night was to make sure everyone remembered she was the lady of the house, and that was more than enough. High society guests were still seething with envy. What a little fox, see? Mr. Thorne still sent her away. She was flirting with the gambling king earlier. Mr. Thorne will divorce her sooner or later. The comments grated on Kaylin's ears. How dare they slander his woman? Furious, he immediately ordered his men to identify everyone who had spoken ill of Chloe this night. Kick them out of the banquet and then have the Thorne family take good care of them. Even Leo found it strange. Why was he suddenly so protective of his sister-in-law? Just a little while ago, he was saying he didn't want her at the banquet because she'd be an embarrassment. Kaylin said defensively, She is my wife in name. They're disrespecting the Thorne Corporation. Leo quickly agreed. By the way, Damon Liu said he'd like to invite you and sister-in-law to dinner sometime. He wants to present the contract to you as a wedding gift. Kaylin was instantly displeased. He didn't want Chloe anywhere near Damon Liu. He immediately said he would attend, but Chloe is preparing for our honeymoon and will be out of town for a while. She was going to be on some show anyway, which would keep her from causing him any more trouble. Meanwhile, Chloe had just left the hotel when she remembered she'd forgotten to tell Kaylin that the show she was joining was a dating show. Oh well, he didn't have feelings for her anyway, so it probably didn't matter, right? Lost in thought, Chloe bumped right into her father. Mr. Ian rushed over, fussing over her with concern. Chloe felt a pang of warmth. Her father was one of the few genuinely good people in the novel. He was an upright man who adored his children, but his rigid principles had made him many enemies. After his company went bankrupt, he became a target for everyone and chose to take his own life to avoid dragging his family down. The Thorne family, who he hoped would protect his daughter, announced their divorce immediately after his death, cutting all ties with the Jeans. Mr. Jean insisted on driving her home, wanting to spend more time with her. This kind of fatherly love was both unfamiliar and moving. The original Chloe from Earth had lost her parents young and was only taken in by relatives who wanted her inheritance. Once she became a star, she cut them off completely. She had always been alone. Perhaps this new life was a chance from heaven to make up for the family she never had? Chloe clung to her father's arm and called out softly, "Dad?" She then gave him the $2 billion she'd gotten from Kaylin to help with the family's finances. Mr. Jean was touched by her filial piety but insisted she keep it for herself. All that mattered was his daughter's happiness. Then Chloe said casually, "I know $2 billion isn't much, but it should be enough to buy groceries for a while." Mr. Jean froze. What kind of family spends $2 billion on groceries? Chloe's voice softened. "Dad, everything is going to be okay. Trust me." Moved to tears, Mr. Jean finally accepted the money after much persuasion. He then drove her home, taking the scenic route just to spend a little more time with his daughter. After finally getting her father to leave, Chloe sat at her vanity, removing her makeup and changing her clothes. Just as she was about to take off her lingerie, Kaylin appeared behind her. Chloe nearly jumped out of her skin. "Doesn't this guy know how to knock?" Kaylin chuckled. "This is my house. You are my wife. What is there for me not to see?" Chloe's lip twitched. "Trying to play games with me? You're not ready for this." She smiled sweetly. "If you really want to see, I wouldn't mind." As expected, Kaylin's face turned bright red. He stubbornly retorted, "I'm not in the mood today," then changed the subject to the money she gave her father. He told her that saving the Jean group would take more than just money. "You'll have to beg me for help, and whether I agree will depend on how well you can satisfy me." As he spoke, his gaze drifted meaningfully to her chest. To his surprise, Chloe refused without a second thought. The old her had desperately tried to please him, only to be met with cold indifference. Now that she had a new life, she was going to succeed on her own. Kaylin was stunned. This was the first time a woman had ever turned down a chance to get something from him. For a moment, he was speechless. Seizing the opportunity, Chloe announced she was going to take a shower and slipped away, calling over her shoulder, "If you want to join, feel free to follow." That did it. Kaylin turned his wheelchair around and left in a huff. Chloe let out a sigh of relief. She had been genuinely afraid he might be determined enough to pounce on her despite his condition and seal the deal. Thank God that psycho was gone. Chloe happily soaked in the bath for over half an hour. She was humming a little tune as she walked out of the bathroom, only to find Kaylin waiting in the bedroom, complaining that she'd taken too long. Chloe's eyes went wide. Why was he back again? When Kaylin announced he was sleeping in the master bedroom, Chloe's face turned grim. He was the one who wanted separate rooms in the first place, and now he was going back on his word. She couldn't fight him, but she could flee. She quickly said she was a wild sleeper and was afraid she'd kick the esteemed CEO in her sleep, so she'd better find another room. But before she could even step out the door, Kaylin's voice, laced with a dark threat, came from behind her. "Do you want me to tie you to the bed?" The threat was enough to make Chloe freeze in her tracks. She meekly sat on the edge of the bed, waiting for the great master to have his way with her. But then she saw Kaylin slowly, painfully, rise from his wheelchair. His entire body trembled with the effort. She suddenly remembered a line from the novel. At this point, Kaylin's condition had improved enough for him to stand, but it caused him excruciating pain. Getting in and out of his wheelchair was his most difficult task, but he was too proud to ever let anyone help. Sure enough, when he noticed her watching, he snapped, "What are you looking at? Don't worry, even if you were completely naked, I wouldn't touch you." Chloe wanted to scream. So much for feeling sorry for him. No good deed goes unpunished. No wonder he was always getting hurt in the novel. Especially after he met the female lead, he thought she rejected him because of his disability, and started drinking heavily, often stumbling into furniture and bleeding all over the place. Though she was cursing him internally for being an ungrateful jerk who deserved all the pain he got, her hands moved on their own, lifting him up. Kaylin whipped his head around, looking completely shocked. Chloe was embarrassed too. It had to be the lingering, intense love from the original Chloe that made her body act on its own. Thankfully, the original had been working out relentlessly in order to be able to help him, so lifting a grown man wasn't too difficult for her. She gently placed him on the bed. Kaylin, mortified, yelled, "I don't need your help!" Chloe retorted just as stubbornly that she was only following the butler's orders. When the old butler had heard they were sleeping in the same room, he had burst into tears, begging her to take good care of the young master, saying none of them could bear the consequences if he got hurt. She didn't want to see the old man cry himself to death. Kaylin snapped that she was being nosy, but a flicker of warmth crossed his heart. That shy yet stubborn expression, combined with his breathtaking face, made Chloe stare. He really was the most handsome male lead in all of fiction. No wonder the original Chloe had been willing to die to marry him. Kaylin wanted to say something softer to her, but she had already turned away. His outstretched hand only managed to brush against a strand of her hair. By the time Chloe came out after drying her hair, Kaylin was already asleep under the covers. She felt a pang of sympathy. He had been so busy with the partnership lately, and then going to his treatments at night. He must be exhausted. She gently tucked him in, murmuring, "If I'm a little nicer to you, will you still kill me?" The next second, she wanted to slap herself. What am I thinking? I'm the obstacle between him and the female lead. The only way to survive is to run. Fuming, she dove under the covers and fell asleep. A while later, Kaylin opened his eyes and looked at her, his gaze soft with a hint of hope and relief. He wanted to see just how good Chloe could be to him. Chloe had no idea she had just earned herself a lifeline. She slept like a log and didn't wake up until the sun was high in the sky. Kaylin was long gone. Just then, her phone rang. It was Nina, one of Kaylin's trusted assistants, who had been assigned to her. Chloe immediately told her she wanted to join the reality show Let's Fall in Love. Nina was stunned. But that's a dating show. Shouldn't you clear this with Mr. Thorne first? There was no way Chloe was letting her ruin this. Mr. Thorne already approved it, she lied. She told Nina to get her on the show as quickly as possible. From now on, she was focusing on her career. Soon, Nina picked Chloe up and helped her create a new identity. Chloe was now a top student who had graduated early from a prestigious foreign acting school. Her parents had died when she was young, and she grew up in an orphanage. Her new style was so different from her old one that she didn't have to worry about being recognized for now. She didn't even need to change her name. Since she was breaking into showbiz, her identity would be revealed sooner or later. Not changing it would save her some trouble. She just felt a little bad for her very much alive father. The show was starting filming today, with a live-streamed kickoff that night. Nina was worried she wouldn't be able to handle the tight schedule, but Chloe was full of confidence. This was her old stomping ground after all. That afternoon, Kaylin, breaking from his usual routine, left work on time and headed straight for the Thorne villa. Even Leo was surprised. "You usually go straight back to your apartment. What's up today?" Kaylin replied defensively, "It's my house. I can come back whenever I want." But when he got home, Chloe was gone. He heard she had left with Nina early that morning. A sense of unease crept over him, and he told Leo to contact Nina and find out what was going on. Leo made the call and his jaw dropped. "Kaylin, Nina said sister-in-law went to film a show. Did you really approve this?" Kaylin nodded nonchalantly. "Something like that." He even praised Chloe for being so proactive. Leo's face stiffened. Kaylin had actually allowed his wife to join a dating show? Was he asking to be cuckolded? The show was Let's Fall in Love Season 2. The first season had been a massive hit, and every couple from it was still together, making the second season even more hyped. Hearing this, Kaylin's face turned black. He immediately ordered his men to bring Chloe back, but it was too late. The live kickoff stream was about to start. "Which company is responsible for this? Get their CEO on the phone now!" Kaylin raged. Leo replied, "The Thorne Corporation is the biggest investor. That's how she got in so easily." Betrayed by his own company. Kaylin's head throbbed. Leo helpfully suggested he could go on as a guest star, but Kaylin was too proud for that. He roared at Leo to get out, refusing to even watch the stream. He claimed he didn't care about that woman at all. But just as Leo was leaving, he suddenly ordered him to leave his phone behind. Then he secretly opened the live stream. The screen was filled with handsome men of all types, all in a room with Chloe. She was smiling brightly at them, instantly charming a legion of fans and her fellow contestants. The male guests swarmed her, offering to carry her suitcase. Watching from his computer, Kaylin was burning with jealousy. The vinegar bottle in his heart had shattered. Just then, a blonde puppy dog-like young man pushed through the crowd and stood protectively by Chloe's side. The viewers went wild, shipping the two of them. The other male guests backed off. Kaylin's expression softened slightly. He recognized the young man. Chloe's smile grew even wider. She had come on this show specifically for him, her younger brother, Cody Jean. As her brother, he was the only one who had been against her marrying Kaylin. He had caused a huge scene and then run away from home. The original Chloe, obsessed with Kaylin, had ignored him, not realizing it would be the last time she'd ever see him. Cody was destined to die in an accident during this show. an accident that also injured two other contestants who then retired from the industry. Cody was genuinely happy to see her. No matter what, she had to save him. The original Chloe hadn't believed it was an accident and had begged Kaylin to investigate, but he had dismissed her as being hysterical, which only made him resent her more. She couldn't count on Kaylin for help. At that moment, the last two contestants walked in, the top actor Ethan Liu and the starlet Yuna. Chloe's eyes lit up when she saw Ethan. The man was ridiculously handsome. Since the contestants were supposed to be paired up, the company had specifically brought him in to be Chloe's partner. But due to the huge gap in their fame, they had arranged for him to enter with another female contestant to avoid controversy. With everyone present, the introductions began. Chloe didn't know any of them. When it was her and Cody's turn, everyone teased them about their similar names and the shipping intensified. Kaylin was practically sour with jealousy, but at least he knew they were siblings, so he managed to keep it together. The first activity was for each contestant to write down their ideal type. Cody, without hesitation, wrote down "my sister." He was a total cis-con. The others wrote down their requirements, but most were vague. Clearly standard answers designed to build a certain persona for the cameras. Chloe found it boring, but when it was her turn, she went wild, writing a cute, clingy, puppy dog type. Besides saving her brother, she was here to find a boy toy after all. Even Nina had to admire her. She seemed completely in her element, not like a rookie at all. But in front of his computer, Kaylin nearly exploded. Those three requirements were the complete opposite of him. Was this woman trying to humiliate him? He immediately used Leo's phone to text Nina, ordering her to have Chloe contact him the moment filming ended for the day. Nina was confused. Didn't Leo always call her sister-in-law? Why the sudden shift? Soon the kickoff event was over. The production team assigned rooms, 2 people per room. For all the other pairs, the men carried the women's luggage. But Ethan Liu just coldly walked away, ignoring Yuna's calls, earning him the title of clueless jock from the viewers. Chloe was the other anomaly. She just picked up Cody's suitcase and started walking, making the sibling love shippers go even crazier. Seeing poor Yuna struggling with her suitcase, Chloe offered to help. Her roommates were laughing, thinking she was showing off. But the next second, they saw Chloe effortlessly carrying 2 large suitcases up the stairs, running fast even in her stilettos. Jaws dropped all around. Watching this, Kaylin was reminded of how easily she had lifted him the day before. He immediately ordered his men to find out why she was so strong. Meanwhile, Ethan Liu saw Chloe struggling with 2 suitcases, and for the first time ever, stopped and offered to help. But Chloe was even more direct than him. "I got it. Go help Cody." The viewers were stunned. Are these two allergic to romance? Even if Cupid tied them together with steel cables, they'd probably just snap them. Suddenly, this season seemed like it was going to be very interesting. The live stream's popularity skyrocketed. In front of his screen, Kaylin finally relaxed a bit. At least she was sensible enough not to get entangled with other men. Back in her room, Chloe was teasing her roommate, Yuna. She just couldn't resist cute things. Suddenly, she got a message from Nina, sending her Leo's contact info and telling her to get in touch immediately. Chloe found it a bit strange, but added Leo anyway. She remembered he was Kaylin's cousin and his most trusted confidant. So she left the dorm and found a room without any cameras to make the call. At the same time, Kaylin was staring at Chloe's new profile picture with disgust. Suddenly, the phone rang, startling him so badly he almost dropped it. He hesitated for a long time, not knowing how to answer. Meanwhile, Cody saw her leave and followed her. "Sis, are you still mad at me?" he asked nervously. Chloe remembered how he had mercilessly cursed out Kaylin. She knew he was just trying to protect her, and this time she was here for him. So, just as Kaylin managed to get the old butler to pretend to be Leo and answer the phone, the first thing he heard was a voice on the other end saying, "Sis, does this mean you've finally decided to divorce Kaylin Thorne?" Kaylin's face instantly darkened, a murderous aura radiating from him. Cody was still pleading earnestly. "Kaylin Thorne is human garbage! You were so good to him, but he just ignored you and broke your heart. Stop being so stubborn. I just want you to be happy." Chloe quickly promised she would never let herself be mistreated again, and that things between them would resolve themselves when the time was right. She told him she was here for him, that this show was an important opportunity, and that she would help him escape his deadly fate. Seeing that his sister was back to her old self, Cody breathed a sigh of relief and broke into a goofy grin. Just then, Chloe realized the call had been connected the whole time. She quickly shooed Cody away. As he left, he called back, "Sis, use this show to find a new guy. You might forget all about Kaylin Thorne in no time." On the other end, Kalen listened, his face grim. The butler felt a cold sweat for the young madam. Chloe asked nervously, "Is Leo at the Thorne estate? Is he with Kalen?" When the butler explained they were in the study discussing business, which was why he was answering the phone, Chloe let out a sigh of relief. Thinking Leo was just calling on Kalen's orders to check on her, she explained that she was only on the show to reconcile with her brother and have a little fun as a celebrity, nothing more. Kalen immediately had the butler tell her, "Be mindful of who you are and come home immediately." But before the butler could finish, Chloe chirped, "It's fine. No one knows who I am, and Kalen won't care anyway." Then she hung up. Kalen's face was livid, looking like he was about to bite someone. "Damn woman, she sounds so happy." "Chloe Jean, you'd better not even think about running away." He immediately told his assistant to clear his schedule for a few days. He needed to go and deal with that woman who was having way too much fun. Meanwhile, a happy Cody returned to his dorm after making up with his sister. But Ethan Liu said coolly, "Looks like you and your sister made up." Cody froze, instinctively wanting to deny it. But Ethan was an actor. He could read people. He could tell they were close but had been fighting. Cody got defensive. "So this guy has been spying on my sister. Is he interested in her?" Ethan was baffled. This pair of siblings was seriously weird. But what bothered him more was the look in Chloe's eyes when she looked at him. It was the way you'd look at a dead man. Cody was about to accuse him of being paranoid, but Ethan continued, "She looks at you the same way." Cody was stunned, but he couldn't believe his sister would ever harm him. Ethan, however, trusted his instincts. Maybe Chloe thought someone was going to hurt Cody. As for himself, he suspected she had figured out he had depression. What does that woman know? Meanwhile, Chloe was taking selfies with Yuna and had just created a social media account. Her first post was a picture of the two of them. In just a few minutes, her follower count had shot past 2,000, growing much faster than she expected. Yuna was about to be the first to like it, but someone beat her to it. And the first like was from the famous director Phantom. He was the most brilliant director in the country in recent years. He had only made 3 films, but each was a blockbuster classic. Half of the top stars in the industry, including Yuna, Ethan Liu, and the award-winning actress Faye, had gotten their start in his movies. Chloe was impressed. His follower count was even higher than hers had been in her previous life. Yuna explained that director Phantom was famously mysterious, even directing his films remotely. No one knew who he really was. This was the first time Yuna had ever seen him like a personal post. If Chloe could catch his eye, she'd be a superstar in no time. Chloe was intrigued, thinking she might be able to charm the great director with her beauty. Little did they know that the person behind the Director Phantom account, Kalen Thorne, was regretting his life choices. He insisted he must have hit the like button by accident. But a thought crossed his mind. Leo had always managed his account before. Maybe he should take it back. Then again, if she got too much attention, her true identity would eventually be revealed, and she wouldn't be able to stay on that stupid show. A sly idea popped into Kalen's head. He couldn't wait to see the look on her face. Elsewhere, everyone was stressed about the next day's filming. Only Chloe was completely relaxed, even a little excited. It was a chance to get paid to date, after all. Of course she was going to enjoy it. The next morning, she bounded onto the set, more than an hour early, and had even brought breakfast for everyone. The crew was stunned. They'd never seen a star so diligent. They had no choice but to start filming her early. Soon Ethan Liu appeared like a ghost. Chloe immediately called him over for breakfast. Without makeup, he looked even younger, but the dark circles under his eyes were heavy. He probably hadn't had a good night's sleep in a long time. Chloe kindly offered him some hot soy milk, but Ethan coolly replied that he was allergic. Chloe was mortified, but thankfully she had also bought milk. Just then, Ethan leaned in close, taking the warm milk from her. He bent down slightly, his voice a soft, intimate whisper as he thanked her. The crew immediately captured the beautiful moment, quickly editing it into a teaser trailer before continuing to film their couple moments. They had no idea that the two of them were talking about something completely unrelated to romance. "Is Cody up yet?" Ethan's face darkened. He complained that Cody slept like a log. Their one-on-one shoot lasted for over 40 minutes. The other contestants arrived right at 8, all yawning, clearly too nervous to have slept well. A cheerful Chloe greeted them and invited them to have some of the breakfast she brought. They were all amazed, both by her energy and her thoughtfulness. However, one of the other female contestants was gritting her teeth in anger, thinking Chloe was just trying to hog the spotlight. She had fought hard for a spot on this show and refused to be upstaged by a newbie. Seeing all the male contestants flocking around Chloe, praising her for being disciplined, beautiful, and unique, only fueled her rage. She knew today was a date day, and everyone else would be dressed to the nines. Yet Chloe showed up in casual clothes and started playing the role of the caring girl. It was all a calculated move. Soon the director announced the day's activity, a day at an amusement park. Each person was given $200 in cash. All of their expenses for the day had to come from that money. Tonight at 10 p.m., they would have to send a confession letter to the person they were interested in, along with a gift. If two people chose each other, they would be successfully matched and receive a secret prize. If it was a one-sided choice, they could still team up, but with no prize. And if they chose no one, they would receive a single dog prize. The contestants were dumbfounded. What could they possibly do with so little money? Only Chloe was unfazed. This was a classic reality show trope. At the director's signal, everyone started frantically calculating their budgets, even trying to split cab fare with the crew. But Chloe just smiled. "We could take the bus. It's cheaper." The two female stars thought it would be too crowded. Besides, as celebrities, they shouldn't be taking the bus. They decided to take a cab and tried to get Ethan to join them, hoping to pull him into their group. But Ethan flatly refused and opted for the bus. In the end, everyone else took a cab, while Chloe led her group of 3 to the bus stop. The other actress sneered, "What a poser! The whole internet is going to be laughing at how pathetic you look squeezed onto a bus." But she had no idea Chloe had a plan. She had looked up a direct tourist bus route. You could only get on at the first stop and get off at the last. The last stop was a bar district in the south of the city that didn't open until 6 p.m. At this time of day, the bus was practically empty. Sure enough, the bus was completely deserted. The 4 of them had it all to themselves. Chloe then pulled out a bus pass and paid for everyone's fare. The director accused her of cheating, saying the pass should have been confiscated with her cash. But it turned out Chloe had bought the pass from the owner of the breakfast shop. She had anticipated the limited budget and prepared in advance, without breaking any rules. The others were in awe. Sticking with a pro was definitely the right move. Ethan even handed his cash over to her. "Our fate is in your hands today, boss." The crew snapped photos like crazy. The top actor willingly handing over his money was prime content. Inspired, Yuna and Cody also gave her their money. Chloe just smiled and promised them a fun day. But her smile faded a moment later. Nina sent her a message with profiles of the other contestants and told her she was already trending online. Staying low-key was no longer an option. Chloe's heart sank. She quickly checked the trending topics. Sure enough, her name was linked with the famous director Phantom and the top star Ethan Liu dominating the charts. But she wasn't happy. Popularity was good, but becoming famous too quickly would attract negative attention, which wasn't good for her future. And she worried about how Kaylin would react. Meanwhile, Kaylin had just received a full report. Besides the wedding day, there was nothing unusual about Chloe's activities for the past year, except that she had spent a lot of time at the gym. According to her trainer, her goal was to be able to carry her husband. Kaylin was both touched and mortified. How could that woman say something so shameless? She has no sense of propriety. Just then, his phone buzzed, interrupting his thoughts. It was a notification for the dating show's new teaser. The video showed the intimate moment between Chloe and Ethan, the two of them gazing at each other as if they were deeply in love. The comments were flooded with squeals. "Ethan and Chloe are the perfect couple, they're so sweet together." The butler continued his report in the background. "Young Master Cody had a huge fight with the young madam on the eve of the wedding and even cursed at you, sir. Young Master Leo is already in contact with the show's production team and has arranged for a female partner for you. Your appearance is being kept top secret." Everything was going according to plan, yet Kaylin felt an inexplicable irritation that made his whole body tense. Meanwhile, Chloe was about to lead her group to lunch, when she saw a thief snatch a woman's purse. The woman screamed, "Stop him, thief!" Cody, full of righteous indignation, immediately lunged forward to stop him. But Chloe instantly blocked his path. She had no idea if this was the incident that would lead to his death. Seeing them, the thief changed direction and darted into a nearby alley. Chloe reacted instantly, chasing after him. She had done countless action scenes in her past life, always performing her own stunts. A simple chase was nothing. With a few graceful leaps, she was right behind the thief, and with a flying kick, she tackled him to the ground. But to her surprise, the thief was just a young boy. He tearfully begged her to let him go. "My grandma's sick, and I couldn't afford her medical bills. I wasn't thinking straight." Turns out this young boy was none other than the novel's obsessive dark second male lead, Daniel. His mother had died in childbirth, and he was raised by his grandparents. He had resorted to stealing because his grandmother was gravely ill, and he had no money for her treatment. In the original story, while trying to raise money, He was mugged by thugs. He fought back, but was severely beaten. The novel's female lead happened to pass by and saved him. But he was in a coma for days, and during that time, his grandmother passed away from lack of treatment. His grandfather died of grief soon after. Devastated, Daniel latched onto the female lead as his only reason for living. When Kaylin appeared in her life, Daniel's obsession turned dark. He became dangerously protective of her, and in the end, died protecting her from the main villain. Right now, however, Daniel was just a teary-eyed kid apologizing profusely. Chloe's heart ached for him. She wanted to change his fate. She had Daniel apologize to the woman whose purse he had stolen. The woman was furious at first, but then she saw she was standing next to her favorite actor, Ethan Liu. The whole ordeal suddenly felt like a blessing in disguise. Her anger vanished, and she quickly forgave the boy, then spent the next few minutes gushing over Ethan and getting his autograph. Chloe thoughtfully reminded the director to cut this part of the footage to protect the woman's privacy. The director agreed. She then took some money from their already meager funds and gave it to Daniel for his bus fare home. Daniel watched all of this in silence, a deep sense of gratitude filling him. He blushed as he asked for her name. Chloe suddenly remembered that at this point in his life, he was so poor he didn't even own a phone, which explained why he didn't recognize any of them. She simply told him her name was Chloe, and ushered him on his way, telling him to hurry home. The next time they met, he would have a completely new life. The purse's owner, a wealthy woman, was still buzzing with excitement. Chloe came up with a brilliant idea. Since their budget was tight, she proposed a deal. If the woman would give them a ride to the amusement park, she could spend more time with her favorite actor. The woman agreed instantly, calling for her private car and even offering to cover their expenses. The group cheered. Following a pro was the best decision they had ever made. Unfortunately, the director stepped in. According to the rules, they couldn't accept any money outside of what the show provided. Cody was about to argue, but Yuna gently calmed him down. Chloe watched them, feeling a spark of joy at playing matchmaker. But the no-cash rule was something she had anticipated. So, in front of the wealthy fan, Chloe loudly announced that she and Ethan would go buy instant noodles for everyone's lunch. As expected, the woman was horrified. Her precious Ethan eating instant noodles? Unacceptable. She immediately invited them all to her restaurant for a feast. This move completely blindsided the production team. They could only watch as the group headed off for a free gourmet meal. Even Ethan had to admit she was a clever woman. As soon as Daniel was gone, Chloe's manager, Nina, approached him. She asked him to keep today's events a secret, then informed him that their company would be covering all of his family's medical expenses. She also gave him a new phone, a SIM card, and $50,000 in cash. Daniel was stunned. They were strangers. Why was she helping him so much? Nina relayed Chloe's message. She knows how painful it is to lose family, and she doesn't want you to end up alone. Also, don't steal anymore. When you're able to earn your own money, you can pay her back. The words hit Daniel with the force of a tidal wave. Tears streamed down his face. He would never forget this. Meanwhile, Chloe and her group followed the woman to the bustling bar district. Her establishment was the most popular restaurant and hotel on the street, and she graciously comped their entire meal. Chloe was thrilled. They had saved on both food and transportation. Now they could plan for more activities. When the lavish spread was served, everyone dug in ravenously, except for Ethan, who didn't touch his food. Chloe gently encouraged him to try some of the salad, noting its light, sweet, and sour flavor and low-calorie count. She knew that celebrities with depression often suffered from a mild loss of appetite and couldn't handle heavy foods. Sure enough, Ethan started eating. Chloe breathed a sigh of relief. His symptoms weren't too severe yet. It was still early enough to treat him. To an outsider, they just looked like a perfect, caring couple. The chemistry was so natural it couldn't have been scripted. The other group, in stark contrast, was having a miserable time. They took a cab straight to the park, where the food was ridiculously expensive. They spent most of their money, were still hungry, and didn't even have enough for a ride back. They even tried to borrow money from the crew. The comparison between the two groups made for explosive TV. Chloe just understood variety shows on another level. No one knew where she came from. After their delicious meal, the wealthy fan arranged for a luxury car to take Chloe's group to the park, even packing snacks and fruit for them. The group was overjoyed. After saying their goodbyes, they even considered sharing some of their snacks with the other group. Just then, Nina messaged Chloe. She had secretly escorted Daniel home, collected a hair sample from him, and arranged for his family to be protected. She also had his DNA tested to help him reunite with his long-lost father. Chloe finally felt at ease. Daniel's biological father was the president of the overseas conglomerate, the Dwan Group, the very corporation that would eventually be instrumental in taking down Kalen Thorne. Daniel was the result of a one-night stand. His mother only knew the man's last name but insisted on having the child. In the novel, Daniel wouldn't meet his father until a banquet Kalen held for the female lead. The head of the Dwan family, who had gone abroad years ago to take over the family business, had no idea he had a son, but the resemblance between them was uncanny. After an investigation, their relationship was confirmed. Racked with guilt and having only one daughter, the patriarch began grooming Daniel as his heir, granting his every wish. With the power of the Dwan Group behind him, Daniel began to openly challenge Kalen, fighting for the female lead and creating opportunities for Kalen's rivals. If Chloe saved Daniel, perhaps Kalen's future would change as well. But that was a long way off. She decided not to worry about it for now. Instead, she wondered how the current and future heads of the Dwan Group would thank her one day. Lost in thought, she realized the car had already arrived at the amusement park. Everyone piled out, excited and ready to have fun, except for Ethan, who remained impassive. Chloe had wanted to go on the thrilling rides, but knew that people with depression often avoided them. She was trying to think of a solution when Ethan, noticing her longing gaze, took the lead. Chloe's right. This is a rare opportunity. We should try as many rides as possible. Yuna and Cody were buzzing with excitement, chattering about which rides to go on first. But when they got to the ticket booth, their faces fell. Full access pass was $170 per person. Their budget couldn't cover it. Chloe wasn't about to let a little thing like money stop them. She found a park manager and offered to promote the park on their social media in exchange for a few VIP passes. The others were floored by her audacity. A true pro never played by the rules. Meanwhile, Kalen was torturing himself with physical therapy. He had contacted several specialists from abroad who had prepared various treatment plans. The specialists had just arrived, and Kalen immediately arranged a meeting before finally ending his session for the day. The first thing he did was grab his phone and search for news about the show. He was greeted with images of Chloe running around, having the time of her life, laughing and joking with Ethan Liu. The comments were filled with fans vowing to visit the park and shipping the two of them as a couple. Kalen's inner vinegar bottle exploded. He turned to the butler, his voice cold. "Tell them this for me. Can they get me walking in the short term? If not, I'll find someone who can." He was desperate to stand again. He immediately started another, even more grueling round of exercises. Back at the park, Chloe and her group had finished their promotional work. With their combined millions of followers, the park got a massive publicity boost and happily handed over the VIP passes. The four of them cheered and raced towards the rides. The director just shook his head. The woman was ridiculously clever. The other group of four was still stuck in an endless line, looking utterly dejected. Just then, Chloe's group strolled past, waved cheerfully, and walked right to the front of the line. One of the other contestants, Misty, immediately called them out for cutting. But then all four of them flashed their shiny gold VIP cards. They had access to the express lane. No waiting required, all thanks to Chloe. The other group stared, a mixture of shock and envy on their faces. Only Misty's hatred deepened. Chloe led them onto a swinging pirate ship ride. Cody thoughtfully put a hat on Yuna to keep her hair from getting wet. Chloe smiled to herself. Her little brother was growing up and learning how to flirt. The next moment, Ethan leaned over and placed her own hat on her head. Chloe's heart fluttered. She knew he was just here as part of a deal with Kalen's company, but he was undeniably charming. Soon, they were all lost in the thrill of the rides, forgetting their complicated feelings. They all got soaked, but they were having a blast. Ethan's drenched look, in particular, drew screams from the crowd below, who all scrambled to take pictures. The other group of four could only watch from below, tears of envy welling in their eyes. Misty gritted her teeth. Why did they get all the attention? Soon the other group heard how Chloe had gotten the tickets, and tried to do the same, but it was too late to get a refund on the tickets they'd already bought. They all sighed, wishing they had stuck with Chloe from the start. Misty's anger boiled over. It's always her. She's always finding ways to steal the show. Did she bribe the producers? Is this all scripted? I can't stand her. Meanwhile, Chloe's group was hopping from one thrill ride to another, getting their pictures taken in all sorts of unflattering poses. Only Ethan remained completely composed, his face a calm mask, much like Kalen's. Chloe suddenly had an urge to see a different expression on his face. Maybe what he looked like when he cried. A beautiful man, crying in pain from his depression. She would open her arms to him, comfort him, encourage him not to give up, and help him out of the darkness. Then, a passionate kiss. and he would be devoted to her forever. Operation Save the Hot Guy would be another smashing success. The thought alone was thrilling. Ethan was taken aback by her strange expression. He thought her mind worked in mysterious ways, but he had no idea she genuinely wanted to save him. In any case, Kaylin would meet the female lead soon enough, and their divorce was inevitable. So, if she got a little closer to Ethan during the show, Kaylin probably wouldn't mind, right? They had now arrived at the gift shop, laughing and trying on cute accessories. Even the cool and aloof top actor was forced to wear a pair of fuzzy dog ears. The four of them were like two real couples, their atmosphere light and flirty. In contrast, the other group of four was completely exhausted. They had no energy for games and were just focused on trying to find Chloe's group. Misty was about to explode. Why were they so obsessed with finding Chloe? It was like both men had their souls stolen by her. What's so great about Chloe Jeon? She lagged behind, her face dark. Even the cameraman was bored, the vibe was just so awkward. Just then, Chloe's group appeared, all wearing cute headbands that made the crowd swoon. Everyone swarmed them, cameras flashing. The other group tried to call out to them, but it was too noisy. Chloe's group didn't hear them and headed straight for the Ferris wheel. The Ferris wheel was a classic date spot, a perfect opportunity to build a connection. The others were disappointed, except for Misty. She immediately invited one of the male contestants to go with her. Although both men wanted to ride with Chloe, it was a TV show and they had to play along when a girl asked. The atmosphere in Chloe's car was much warmer. She had only been on a Ferris wheel as a child, when her parents would buy her balloons. After they passed away, she never went to an amusement park again. It was a nostalgic feeling. Ethan was also enjoying himself. It had been a long time since he'd felt so relaxed. Chloe's heart went out to him. According to the file Nina had given her, Ethan's agency was facing a massive debt crisis. As their only moneymaker, he was overworked and had almost no time off. The exhaustion, combined with a string of bad projects, had damaged his reputation as an actor. The physical and mental strain, coupled with immense pressure, was what had led to his depression. Ethan noticed her staring at him with that same look again, the way you look at a dead man. He asked her what was wrong. Chloe knew this show was his chance to regain his popularity, so she decided to play along and help him. "I really liked your smile earlier, Ethan." Ethan blushed and looked away, far more innocent than she had expected. Cody and Yuna were watching them. Seeing the good atmosphere between them, they relaxed. Although Cody was jealous, he had to admit Ethan was 100 times better than Kaylin Thorne. He happily turned his attention back to his own sweet amusement park date with Yuna. Their sweet, romantic moments were all captured by the directors, who immediately ordered the footage to be edited with extra emphasis on the romance. These two couples were going to be the main feature of this week's episode. But the next moment, the director received even more explosive news. Director Phantom was joining the show. He nearly jumped for joy. This would be the first time the mysterious director had ever shown his face in public. This show was going to be the biggest hit of the year. Of course, no one thought he was actually there for romance. It was obviously a casting call for his next movie. Meanwhile, Ethan noticed the other group waving at them. He quickly pulled the others towards the next attraction. Everyone was surprised by his sudden burst of energy, but happy to see him so lively. When the other group got off the Ferris wheel, they found Chloe's group was long gone, leaving them feeling dejected. Misty was furious. The two men had been completely distracted the entire time, their conversation awkward and forced. Did they even know how to act on a dating show? If they had managed to meet up with the other group, Chloe would have become the center of attention, so she did her best to convince them to stick to their own plans. Although the two men were reluctant, they had a show to film. They agreed, still hoping they might run into the others later. But Chloe's group was already having a picnic. Thanks to her foresight in packing food, they weren't starving like they would have been with their tiny budget. Chloe felt a pang of worry for the other group. She had wanted to share, but they never crossed paths. She didn't know that Ethan was secretly checking his phone. The other group had been texting him, trying to meet up, and they had nearly run into each other several times. But Ethan had deliberately led their group in a different direction each time. A sly smile crossed his face as he put his phone away and said innocently, "I guess it just wasn't meant to be." That evening, they ate cotton candy and watched the fireworks, another dating show staple. Ethan suddenly bought a balloon and gave it to Chloe, a balloon he had gotten in exchange for an autograph, just like she had done earlier. Chloe was touched, her heart pounding in her chest. He had gone out of his way to get it for her. He was really taking his role as her partner seriously. Chloe loved the gift, but for some reason, her thoughts drifted to Kaylin. She wondered what he was doing right now. She had no idea that at that very moment, Kalen was on the verge of a complete breakdown. Ignoring his doctor's protests, Kalen pushed through the excruciating pain, forcing himself to continue his overload training. He refused to be stuck in a wheelchair forever, to always be watching from the sidelines as he lost what was his. Finally, when he was trembling too much to move, he picked up his phone and saw Chloe's new post. It was a picture of the fireworks with the caption, "Hope you can see them too." A wave of warmth washed over Kalen, and the pain and exhaustion vanished, replaced by pure sweetness. But the next second, he saw Ethan Liu's reply in the comments, and the fans going wild. "Chloe and Ethan are so romantic, they're soulmates." Instantly, his jealousy flared. He slammed his phone down, cursing that damn woman. How dare she flirt with another man behind his back? Meanwhile, Chloe's group had just returned. She had briefly considered sending Kalen a picture of the fireworks, but decided he probably wasn't interested in her life and dismissed the thought. They got back late, but everyone was happy and exhausted. The other group, on the other hand, was miserable. They didn't have enough money for a late ride home and had to catch the last bus, missing the fireworks entirely. The bus was so crowded during rush hour that they lost their appetites. They were incredibly envious of Chloe's group. Misty was practically fuming. Why did all the good things happen to Chloe? It was unbearable. Listening to them recount their amazing day, which made the two men in her group even more regretful they hadn't joined them, was the last straw. Misty gritted her teeth. "Don't get too comfortable, this is just the beginning. I'll win in the end." Ethan claimed his phone had died, which was why he hadn't replied to their messages. Luckily, they weren't too upset. Soon, the director announced it was time for the contestants to write their confession letters. Once she was alone, Chloe's happy expression faded. She still had no clue about the accident. The novel only mentioned that Cody and a few others would suddenly disappear one day. They were found one by one, all injured and drugged. Cody was the last to be found, and the autopsy revealed a high concentration of drugs in his system, which was the primary cause of death. He had also been brutally tortured. Under public pressure, the police released their findings and a storm of negative press erupted. The other victims didn't deny the rumors and simply retired from the industry. This was why the original Chloe had gone to Kalen in a frenzy, only to be dismissed as hysterical. Now Cody was her brother. She would not let that happen. She repeatedly warned him that if he received any strange invitations, he had to tell her immediately. Cody found it odd but agreed. Meanwhile, Yuna hesitated, wondering if she should write her confession letter to Cody. Chloe saw her troubled expression and went over to comfort her. In the novel, Yuna was the only one who stood up for Cody. Despite having no connection to the incident, she ignored her company's warnings and insisted that Cody had been murdered. As a result, she was attacked by the public, blacklisted by the industry, and eventually disappeared. This time, Chloe would protect not only her brother but also the girl who truly loved him. Yuna shyly admitted she felt like Cody liked Chloe more and didn't want to get in the way. Chloe burst out laughing. She explained they were siblings, but had to keep it a secret for now. Yuna was both shocked and thrilled. She then confessed that she had joined the show just for Cody, even turning down a major role in a new drama. She wanted to see him again. They had met on a film set but had never spoken. Yuna had a difficult underwater scene and had to do multiple takes. Exhausted and underwater for too long, she got a cramp and started to drown. It was Cody who noticed something was wrong, jumped in, and saved her. He had then yelled at her for being foolish and pushing herself too hard. Though she had cried at the time, she was incredibly grateful. She had forgotten to get his contact information. So when she heard he was on this show, she gambled everything to come and see if she could make him fall for her. Chloe was amused by her clueless brother's actions but was rooting for them. She encouraged Yuna to be brave and go for it. Meanwhile, her clueless brother was writing his confession letter to her. Even Ethan couldn't take it anymore. "This is a dating show, not a family reunion. Are you trying to date your sister?" But Cody was convinced his sister wouldn't be interested in any of the guys and would have to choose him in the end. Besides, he wanted to be on her team. Ethan just shook his head. The assist con was a lost cause. Chloe was also struggling with who to write her letter to. She remembered the original Chloe had written countless love letters to Kalen, never missing a single holiday. He had never replied, but she had never stopped. Chloe couldn't understand why the original had been so in love with him. She suspected it was just a youthful infatuation, a mistake from the start. Suddenly, another voice echoed in her mind, a tempting whisper. "It's not like that. You'll understand soon enough."